What? Who's it? Oh, right. Okay. Ah, Mr. Couchcoo. The Sacred Council has been expecting you. I am formed of the Holy Alliance of From Software fanboys. You may have heard of us in the comments.
Choose the sword, and you will join me.
Rumor has it that you are reviewing The Surge 2. You must think wisely before making this decision. You must also choose
From your last save, this is not an overdub.
3 decisions await you.
Behold, the special edition 3 cards of choice. Choose wisely, old man.
You don't understand my words, but you must choose.
Okay, well, let's go for Gideon's Rock. Okay, maybe not. Jericho City, downtown Jericho, yeah? Mid-game. Okay. Shall we starter area. I am Couchcoop and welcome to my Surge 2 review on the PlayStation 5. We do actually get 60 frames per second in the quality mode, so flat 60 frames all over this game on a PS5. It's officially 5 years old and loads has happened with Souls-likes in the industry since the release of The Surge 2. Lords of the Fallen fell on its ass, we've had Lies of P win Game of the Year awards everywhere, and of course we've had The Remnant 2. I don't need to talk about The Remnant 2. I'm either going to tell you about how amazing The Surge 2 is now, today in 2024, or remind you of how damn good it was back then on its release 2019. It was also on the Pro with some improved specs, and I kind of played this game 3 times right the way through on all the systems, and the third has been an absolute joy. Callisto Protocol, same uniforms, weird like prison setup. There's a few little nods, I imagine. Definitely a homage, 100% a homage. Homage confirmed. What is still keeping this game strong amongst all those amazing Souls-likes mentioned? Well, it's got an incredible armor system, and reward on that front is almost Monster Hunter complex, and also the combat is absolutely expert. The controls options is southpaw when you go into adjusting things. Now, you know developers are taking their control mechanism seriously when they name a setup after a boxing stance. With Lies of P being mentioned earlier, this has got a jump on the click in of R3, and then your run is X. Is proper crazy as well with health replenish and stamina. We're going to get into that whole echelon of complication in a second, but let's just check out these visuals.
The evacuation of Jericho City is complete.
Lies of P has got what I consider quite traditional Souls-like controls, and this is a slight twist on it, and it's very enjoyable. You still have the hard and fast on the traditional buttons, but having the stamina directly related to your health replenish and battery system is also something else that offers a whole new layer of panic. Bonfire system comes in the form of these terminals that you can upgrade everything in and even construct stuff. We're going to move on to how awesome the crafting system is against the reward system of actually finding schematics and armor itself. This club better than the Starfield club, and this is 2019, not even joking. And look at the idle animations, which are different depending on what weapon he's holding. Also goes via move sets. That's one of the things that completely blew my mind with the game, is everything dual wielded and two-handed has its own set of awesome moves and animations. Having a third visit with it also is helping me look at all of the little sub and side quests. There's actually quite a few in the game, and I rushed through a lot of this stuff in Gideon and of course downtown Jericho, the fishing yard. There's so many NPCs and androids that kind of need your help, and there's really good reward for it.
Good luck out there, friend. Initiating recovery mode.
That Monster Hunter analogy is not a weak one. Every section of your body can have stuff clamped onto it, and individually crafted, you'll end up being a bit higgledy because you're just getting top bits of sets on, but you do have a reward for a complete set that's absolutely awesome. Being able to chase down a set with a particular enemy type. Dark Souls does it very well, and you end up just looking like your environment because you've kicked the crap out of all of those people in that area, and then you're donning their gear. It's so cool going for the transformation. I always like it because you sort of blend with the aesthetic of the level as well. Let's get to combat nuance, because you've got a dodge which is a double tap, so you've also got that spring forward jump which you can do downward hacks with. So they've also put horizontal and vertical in, a bit like the Nier games. It's damn complicated, and some of it is a little bit overwhelming. Upon clicking in that analog stick, it gives you a choice of an area that you want to attack on someone, and it's all about plucking off that limb or decapitating them to get the helmet. It's really dark stuff, and you've heard me probably talk about that before. It is a bit of a macabre, crazy selling point.
Wait, where am I?
Don't talk. You need to rest. Take yourself away safe.
Every weapon, depending on its characteristic, be it dual wielding or a two-handed or single-handed, will have a build move on both of those R buttons. So it feels a little bit like a new Assassin's Creed game where you keep the buttons held down and you sort of let rip with something large. That has got to be timed. You really cannot start spamming the windows. You have to watch the enemy, and we haven't even got to your drone, which has got like 7 different modes on it. This is top tier combat, and it really still is incredibly strong for the year that it's made. So this, yeah, if you've not played this game, this is where shit gets really real with why this is so different and attractive on a mechanic front. Everything can be slotted in and out that bears a healing or even a combat buff. They're called implants, and if you can see the power consumption meter there at the bottom of the screen, slightly to the left, you have this figure to work with, and you can really strip yourself down and go for different builds every single second of the game. You're constantly upgrading these, going right to the optimum, and that's what we're talking about when we are going to the health replenish mechanic. These things revolve around how often you can take health, how many battery packs you can actually walk around with, and that's something we need to touch on. The damn battery packs. So battery power is kind of rewarded for delivering damage. A little bit of a Bloodborne thing going on there. It will fill up once you get to a chunk. That's when you can dispose it, either using on health and stamina. Everything is dependent on what implant you've had put in to optimize that move. The build that I'm running with here is kind of a damage dealing one, and it's quite aggressive with health replenish. It doesn't have something that the game gives you right at the start, and it's essentially an implant that tells you where the hit's coming from, be it above, left or right. You remember me talking about vertical and horizontal slashes? The enemy's up to the same damn thing. So blocking needs to be optimized, but I'm doing it all by eye because I want that slot spent on something else. This is how those fights go down when you can see where the hits are coming at you from. It's also a Souls game that's not without story, and there's quite a lot of narrative and audio tapes to get into, and there's also some like cool harmless characters that you can discover. They'll talk to you, offer you some cool little sub and side quests to get some nice little rewarded loot. And again, I haven't mentioned about the Souls or currency. This is all about scraps, kind of an identical system on that front.
AID response will pay you a shitload of money to get their mitts on you.
Bringing slightly back to the combat and the performance of the game, having multiple enemies on screen, it does happen quite a lot in downtown Jericho, and you need to sort of get your head round, switching focus, because you might be targeting a particular limb. That sort of stuff is really cool to stay on top of when you've got some very cool pegged performance. I love the fact I think it's 2K and still 60 frames per second. This definitely helps when you're getting in a tangle. The way it understands loot and sort of souls farming, going to an area and bleeding it for everything it's got in it, I'm talking about enemy and enemy drops, is very good. You get an opportunity almost immediately to compare an item against what you've got on or equip it straight away. It's very slick with its menus, allowing you quick wheel or just tapping the directional buttons to go through any weapon you favorited. So that carry roster is not minimalized like a traditional Dark Souls game. We do need to talk about bosses, and that is a huge Souls-like aspect, and with this game I consider them a little bit spoilery. You saw me mention my special edition of the game that's got a poster of the second boss. The first boss is kind of just a human dude. Things start getting very mechanical and very scary in the game. It does totally deliver on boss fights.
Quote, blasted nanobrain.
Where would I rank this with all the major Souls-likes that are out there at the moment? Well, here's my take on it. It's gone extremely high after replaying it in 2024. The memory of this game was pretty good, but the actual bedrock mechanics and detail within it are relatively far above quite a lot of the best Souls-likes available on the market at the moment. Is it worth playing the Surge one? Well, that was obviously my first experience with the game, and only because the PlayStation Network put it on free. Man, we're talking a very long time ago. It's not a weak game. This does everything better and is bigger, and the variety is amazing. The combat's even more detailed, all the sets and everything else. But it's all still there in the original, so if you're totally mad on this one and haven't looked at the first one, it's probably an idea to check it out. This was technically a still holds up, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it. This has been on a Souls-like list, but it was 4.5 years ago, and it also made it onto a sci-fi list. I'll try and link it all. I have also recently reviewed some actual From Software Souls games, including Dark Souls 3 and Soulsborne Bloodborne. Got some outtakes from that little skit I filmed. I hope you enjoy. I will see you all down there.
You have a few decisions to make, young man.
Young man, 3 decisions await you. First, cut. 3 decisions await you.